Howdy, howdy. Welcome back. It's another Workshop Wednesday. This week's edition is a What's New workshop, and we're going to go through the changes and updates that came out in July 2021. This is our tradition. We do this every first Workshop Wednesday of the month. We cover the What's New to get you all caught up. Welcome. If this is your first Workshop Wednesday, my name is Chris Mercer. I am the co-founder of measurementmarketing.io. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should as well. And whether you found us on our podcast and talks that we give out, maybe through we share some of our content with some of the other platforms like Excel Institute, Digital Marketer, Social Media Examiner, Measure Summit. Maybe you're already a member of measurementmarketing.io. However you found us, we're happy you're here. It's our job, of course, to help people just like you learn how to use all these tools. And of course, it really means staying up to date on what's possible with these tools. So we're going to go through that. Now, do want to mention the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is our flagship training program for those that are interested in learning measurement marketing, including learning the tools, but also the strategies behind the tools. I promise you that is the secret sauce. If you're having challenges with these tools, a lot of it's how you think about it. So we teach you not only how to use tools like Google Analytics and Tag Manager and Data Studio, but why and how to put them together. It's the strategy of measurement that will help get you through it. Now, let's talk about the framework very quickly. We cover this each workshop to make sure that everyone is using the framework. You do not have to be an Academy member to use the framework. You can use this even if you're not a member of measurementmarketing.io. That's why we cover it. So we talk about plan, build, and act. Now, in the beginning, you're marketing in the blind. Most people are. So you have to build out a measurement plan. That means we want to go to questions, think about the information we need to collect to get those answers, ultimately what actions will we take based upon the answers. Then you do your measurement build, where you make sure that whatever you're using, doesn't matter the tools, but make sure those tools understand the traffic that you're getting, where it's coming from. They know the results, and you're measuring for the specific results you're trying to achieve, and you do that in a way that's structured together to tell a story. At that point, you then act upon what you've built. Now, you can read your reports because they tell you a story. It's a little easier to get to the benchmarks. Then you use those benchmarks to forecast your near future, and you measure against your forecasts, which will easily tell you what's working and what's not. That's where you know how to optimize, and that's what gives you a system that predictably grows revenue and increases your profits. That's the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell. All right, now with this workshop, we're going to cover quite a bit of things actually, but one thing is what I want you to focus on, because it is easy to get overwhelmed and there's a lot of different stuff we're going to cover. Some of it will apply to you, some of it not. So just take the thing where you're like, hey, that's interesting. I'm going to go practice that. Go take a look at it, practice that skill, then come back, rewatch this workshop. You will pick up another one new thing. All right, let's go ahead and get underway. We're going to start right now. What's new? Changes and updates as of July 2021. All right, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Actually, this is a wrong slide. I'm going to have to adjust this right now. This is why I love doing this with no net. I totally forgot I had all these in there. So give me just a second. Here's a sneak peek of what we're about to see. Tag Manager, that's what we're going to talk about. That slide should not have been there at all. So Tag Manager is what we really care about. Tag Manager is the thing that helps us to collect information. Tag Manager is the platform that is adjusting very, very quickly to a world that is requiring privacy. Now, how does this affect us? First, if we go into triggers, many of you may have noticed this already. If you go into new trigger, you will notice there are actually numerous new triggers. Used to be page view, DOM ready, and window loaded. Now we see consent initialization, and you see initialization. So there are actually now, instead of just sort of 3 stages of the page loading, there are now 5 stages of a page loading. You can now fire tags that set consent to begin with. You can then fire tags that don't need consent, but need to fire before everything else. Then you fire tags when the page reloads. You can fire tags when the DOM is ready. You can fire tags when the window is loaded. Now, I have this over here. I thought this was kind of a nice way of them doing it. You can just Google page view triggers for Tag Manager. They have updated their support docs to talk about all these. So there's the consent initialization. Again, the idea is that it's really just to update or set user consent. That's what it's for. The consent trigger would come from some other system you have set up, and consent management platforms are going to be a thing if they're not already for you. So just get prepared for that. Again, most people, especially in the US, probably don't have those yet, but they're coming down. So Tag Manager is just ahead of the curve for this. So it would be something to pay attention to. You then have an initialization trigger, right? Remember, this is not for consent, right? Except consent stuff. So it's not for consent stuff, but it does fire this is the trigger that fires before everything else. So you have a very important tag that needs to load first before anything else does. You use initialization. Page view, of course, is the one that we're used to. That was the original one that used to be first. This is the one that fires immediately as soon as it begins to load a page, and use that for anything you need for page impressions. Then, of course, the DOM ready for when the page is actually done, all the HTML is rendered. And then window loaded is basically when the browser is saying, I'm done. I've got everything I need. It's officially over. So those are the different stages now. This is a big move. This is a big change. And again, very privacy focused. You're going to see a lot of changes coming from Google that are focused on user privacy and consent of data. That's going to be so important. So please don't ignore that and kind of go like, oh, I don't really do that. Because maybe you don't right now. In all fairness, there's a lot of companies that aren't, especially in countries like the US. But all of us will. This is going to be a thing. So get ahead of the curve and learn these things and start getting used to what's out there. All right. Now, the other thing that was a tag manager update isn't something I can show you because I don't have the server side set up here, but it is a server side, a tag manager server side change. It was a big, not change, it's the wrong word. It's a big update though. Now you can actually set it up for Google Analytics, Universal Analytics. Excuse me, not even Universal Analytics. What am I saying? Google Ads. That's what I'm trying to say. You can now set it up for Google Ads conversions, which you couldn't do. Ironically enough, we could show you how to set up Facebook in Win Google Tag Manager server side, but we could not show you how to set up Google Ads because you could not set up Google Ads, but now you can. So those of you who have Google Ads can now set up server side with Tag Manager. Congratulations, and go have fun with that. All right, so that is it when it comes to the Tag Manager updates. The next updates, GA4. Now remember, Universal Analytics isn't getting the love anymore. It is a platform that is absolutely got a expiration date. It will eventually go away, probably not for at least a couple of years. But you got to start moving into GA4. So many of you may have already noticed that Google's kind of giving you not so subtle hints. They're probably sending you emails to upgrade, and they're calling it an upgrade. It's really not. It's a whole different platform. But that's why you need to learn this platform. You have to get into it. Now, we're currently looking at the Google Analytics demo store. You can already tell, for those of you who have not seen GA4, how radically different it is. So this is what GA4 looks like. Now, the changes, this is kind of a cool change. I like this one that they did. So if we go into Explore Reports, and remember, Google Analytics, one of the big giant differences of Google Analytics 4 is that it's made with AI, it's made with machine learning, it's made with that from the start. It requires that, right? That's what it's built for. It's not like a add-on or a snap-on component. It was made to be integrated with machine learning because they understand that as measurement marketers, we just aren't going to be able to measure to the level of detail that we once could. Right? Because of various reasons. Tech is changing, the laws are changing, just the fact that users don't want to be measured to the level of detail that they once were. So you're not going to be able to get all the information that you want. So modeling is going to be important. And in this case, that means AI and machine learning. Now, how does that affect Google Analytics 4? Well, if you go into segments, and I'm in an Explore report right now, just to get into segments. And if we go to create a new segment, you will now notice, look at this, predictive. How cool is this? Now, I would take this with a grain of salt because as with all things with machine learning and AI in the beginning, let's just say they're horrible. They suck. They're not useful at all. They give you really bad predictions. But with time, with training, with enough data, they get better, they get cleaner, they get more useful. So I would at least look at this, maybe create some segments. You can see here, there's likely 7-day purchasers. There's likely 7-day churning users, people that aren't coming back. 28-day top spenders, 7-day churning purchasers, right? Purchasers aren't coming back. First-time purchasers. And you can see here, you've got eligibility status. You can see if it's ready or not. And ultimately build segments, even turn this into audiences, perhaps, for Google Ads. So this whole predictive mechanism is coming in and being released and updated in GA4. So I wanted you to be aware of that because I think it's a pretty cool update. Like the fact that we can start playing around with this. Again, don't blindly trust this. We call this trust but verify here at measurementmarketing.io, which means you trust that it's probably correct, but you kind of have a healthy grain of salt and you kind of go, well, maybe let me go try it and then we'll see, right? So that's what this does. So you can click in, you can create your segment, and it'll walk through like, who you're looking for and based on the behaviors and what Google Analytics 4's model is currently predicting is going to happen. So I thought that was a really cool thing back here. So make sure you play around with that. The other change, and this was something that came out in early July, so maybe you've already seen this, is this advertising report. So the fact that they have this advertising workspace back here that you can go through, you can see all this, model comparisons with attribution. You've got conversion paths with attribution that are back here as well. And you can also set attribution settings. So let me see if I can find where this is. So if you go into, I believe it's in the admin section, this one, and this is a little confusing. This is one thing I wish they would adjust. They have like a configure. Let me just show you really quickly. You have a configure section that has these things you can configure kind of in the user interface. Then there's the admin section, which actually has a whole other configuration thing that you can do, but that's kind of like property level. So don't think about it kind of user focus, but more like property level focus. That might be how it comes down. So if you go into the property column, what will be here, and I don't see that this is here yet for this account, but in this property column, there should be an attribution settings coming through. So you will see that pop up. So if you happen to see that, that's one of the new features that's coming out. Not quite rolled out for this account, but on the way. That's where you can adjust things like your look back windows and that sort of stuff. So just a little FYI. All right, so that is Google Analytics 4 again. The whole point of GA4 isn't to use it as your production platform this exact moment in time. Not today, not as of we're recording this August 4th, 2021, because it's the first Wednesday of August. And it's not ready today, this very second, for a production platform. But I tell you, it is 80% there. It's getting so close. And there is a learning curve to this. You have to think about the event model a little different. You have to think about how you set this up is completely different. How you use it is completely different. All the features are different. It is really a big learning curve. Let's not mince words here. It's a lot. It's going to take some time, effort, and energy on your part, but it will be worth it. And now's the time to start, so that in early 2022, when you really should be using it as a production platform for all of your analytics answers and your measurement implementation, you've already got all the stuff, right? You're ahead of the curve. And I promise you in 2022, there's I can't say I'm going to promise, but here's my bet. In 2022, there's going to be a big giant announcement from Google that will cause mass panic, and everyone's going to try to run into GA4, and they're going to see it for the first time in 2022, and everyone's going to freak out because of how different it is. But you and I won't, because you and I are going to be using GA4, and we're already going to have our stuff together. We're going to understand, and we're going to be way ahead of the curve. So, all right, enough about GA4. Go use it. It's amazing. And actually, we are doing a live training for Google Analytics 4 Basics coming up next week for Academy members. So for those of you that are Academy members, stay tuned for that. All right, Data Studio. Let's talk about the updates for Data Studio. This is one of the rare months. Normally, I'm always like, Team Data Studio for the win. They did the coolest updates. I don't fault Team Data Studio. I think they are awesome people, but they took a vacation in July. Now, that's not to say they didn't make updates. They did, but they were very tiny updates, and I'm going to give it to them because, man, they've done such an incredible job with this platform. They deserve a break. So one of the things they did, as we come in here, I'm just going to go ahead and edit a little fake document here. One of the things they did, I think I'm going to add, I'm going to add some pages, add another page. So is they changed the navigation. So they changed the navigation of kind of what the navigation looks like in Data Studio. It was very, and I'm not sure what it exactly was, but now it's got this nice little rounded effect. So I think that's really what it was. It was just this little rounded effect. So they have that. So you can change this. That is now called top left, is what they call this now. So that's the navigation. Nothing. It didn't change. It didn't create a new one. It's just the formatting, the styling of it. So that was one thing they did. The other thing they did is, for those of you who have ever created a map, and maybe this is useful for you, you can use a Google Maps widget to create charts and stuff like that from your maps. It can actually, you can plot up to 100,000 latitude and longitude values. Used to be only 10,000. Now you can do 100,000 different plots on a map. So if that's been your cup of tea, then maybe that's useful for you. I myself haven't used maps all that much as a chart item, but man, now you've got a lot, 100,000 to go. Now, the other update they did was Google Analytics 4 related. Now, this is not that Google Analytics 4 can be used as a source of data, because it's been able to be used as a data source for quite a while. But now it's the fact that you can connect Google Analytics 4 you can measure your Data Studio reports in Google Analytics 4. It's the reverse. So you can use Google Analytics 4 to measure how many people are actually seeing your Data Studio reports, which you've been able to do for Universal for a long time. But now you can do that. So all you need is to go to File, you go to Report Settings. This came out early in January. It came out early July 1st. So you can see here, there's where you put in your property ID, right? This is your main Universal Analytics property ID. Here is your measurement stream for GA4, and that's how you get it into GA4. So that was the other update that technically came out in July, but it was July 1st. So that is that. So that was the updates for Data Studio. All right. With that, let's go ahead and officially wrap this one up. This is the slide we were looking for. What was your one thing? For me, it was the tag manager stuff. I know there's going to be more privacy-oriented information coming through GA4, probably later in the year of 2021 would be my guess, probably third or fourth quarter. So there's going to be a lot of privacy stuff. Google's making a huge push to privacy stuff because let's face it, they're on the hook for this, right? They're the ones that are measuring and doing all this stuff, and they got to make sure they've got all the ducks in a row to help people like us who aren't experts in all this stuff. And they're giving us this infrastructure to help make it easier for us because I know what it's like. It's a crazy, wild world to try to go through and figure out how do you do this and what's the best way to implement it without, going too far, but not far enough. And it's crazy. It's insane. There's a lot to it. Everybody's frustrated with it. And it's really a hot topic right now because it is in flux. But Google is clearly heading in the direction of kind of giving us main tools and infrastructure that we can use. So that, for me, that was the one thing that triggers for sure. But again, maybe Google Data Studio Maps, maybe the fact that predictive analytics is available potentially in your account. Remember, you have to have a lot of traffic for AI and machine learning to really work well. It needs a lot of data in order to be smart. That's how, because you need the data to train that model. And if you don't have a high traffic site, you probably won't have those yet. But who knows with time. All right. Next week, we are going to rotate back to a Getting Started edition of Workshop Wednesday. We always rotate. So this week is a What's New. Next week is Getting Started. The week after that, we do Beyond Basics. The week after that, we do a strategy session. And then we sort of rinse and repeat the whole process. But next week, it's Getting Started. And that means a beginner topic. And we're going to cover the ABCs of UTMs. So if you've ever heard about UTMs and you're like, well, maybe I'm using them, maybe you're not using them, we're going to cover what they are. And more importantly, because what they are is kind of quick and easy, it's the structure that you have to use. That is where most people go wrong. So I would encourage, even if you are already using UTMs and you're sort of going, yeah, I already use UTMs, I don't need to watch this, I'd still watch this one. Because there's probably going to be something about the structure of how you structure UTMs and why you structure them this way that you will learn a thing or two. So if you want to make sure that you have that workshop, all you need to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. It will automatically notify you, so you have that. Thank you again for all of those now, well over 2,000 who have subscribed, and we're consistently climbing, which is awesome. So thank you again for the kind comments, for people sharing it, for letting me know that sometimes I talk too fast. I appreciate that. And this is why we can slow YouTube down. So it works out pretty well. All right. Next up, let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Toolbox. There is a free way that you can get access to our tools that we've created to learn measurement marketing, or not so much to learn it, but to actually practice measurement marketing. We've got a ton of tools, and we have training that's back there. You get access to the workshops that you have, or at least the most current Workshop Wednesday. It's all part of the Measurement Marketing Toolbox, completely free. Anyone's interested in that, you can learn more at measure.tips/WW, and it will show you that. And then finally, let's talk about the Academy. I mentioned this earlier. This is our flagship product. The whole reason we created the Academy was to help you get through this, the measurement marketing framework. Again, not just the tactical sort of how to use the tools, but the strategy behind it, the how to think about it, the how to piece it together, because that really is the secret sauce. So a very quick tour to show you what that looks like for those that have not seen it yet. So this is the Academy. When you come in, you'll see these 6 blocks that you'll have access to. So the win courses, the on-demand workshops, and the toolbox are the primary content. So I'm going to go through this. Think about this platform as a just-in-time learning platform. It is not here for you to watch every single course because you probably don't need every single course. But it's here so that when you have a question, when you need to go to the next stage, as you're moving through the framework, there'll be something to help you out. So the first thing, there's the Win courses. These are the traditional courses that you might be familiar with. Win Google Analytics 4 Basics is coming up next week. So we've got that one being updated. We've got Google Optimize we just did, Google Tag Manager server side, just to show you what a course looks like. This is the most recent one we did in June, so which is a couple months back, so relatively fresh. We update these, at least try to get about once a year. The Google Analytics 4 we've updated 3 times, so this will be the 3rd time in a year. But just goes to show how much we're doing this. But you can kind of see, like, here's what the courses look like, and they go through, and each lesson's got different topics to it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's nice breakdown, buttoned up, hopefully easy to get through topics that you can learn everything. So now, if you have questions, I'm going to cover that because my humble opinion, watching a bunch of videos is good, but it's not great because you're going to want to talk to somebody, interact with somebody, get some help sometimes. Sometimes things change, right? Like new things are added, and it's impossible for a course creator to stay up to date every second of every day because these things change all the time. That's why we do the What's New workshops. Speaking of, they are on the in-demand workshop section. So remember I talked about the win courses, which you just saw. The on-demand workshops look like this. So you see the most recent workshops. In this case, we got you caught up on the what's new stuff. But as Academy members, all of these other ones are also lit up. So you have access to all of these. These have been edited down. Stuff like this has been taken out of them. They've got like little zoom effects, and it's a little easier to get through what we call student editions. And they're here so you can reference like, okay, I want to get caught up on all the stuff that came out in June or May or April, or the getting started. You want to go through some basic topics and, kind of see what was covered recently or get caught up on some of the more advanced stuff that may have been gone through, like iDomain, iframe, cross domain, all sorts of stuff that's back here. And of course, strategy, very important. So you see all the strategies. So this is the other way that we have content completely separate from the win courses. It's in addition to the win courses that are back here. And of course, the whole thing is searchable. So you can go through, search for whatever the thing is that you're trying to find. It'll go through all the win courses, all of the on-demand workshops, and it spits out and says, hey, here's the things that have this in it that you might want to take a look and get some help. That's because sometimes, again, you have a question and you can ask the site, and the site can sort of spit back some answers and say, hey, check out these workshops. They should be able to help you. Now, the other content that we have is the toolbox. This is free for Toolbox members, this section. The only thing that's not is the Get It Done guides. That's only for Academy. But otherwise, if you're a Toolbox member, you already have access to this stuff. These are our tools that we've created for measurement marketing members. You can have them for free. Not a problem. All this stuff is there. This is for Academy. This is where you Get It Done guides. They're kind of like craft kits, if you will, like little measurement kits where it's like, now that you know how to use Tag Manager and analytics, let's build something cool like the Eyes on the Journey report. And we show you how to do that and go through and, we've got instructors that'll walk you through every single step of the way to help you build your report so you can actually take a look at what everything is, how to set everything up, etc. So templates, all sorts of fun stuff back here. This is exclusive to Academy members. Another reason why to consider Academy. So those are the content right there. Now, remember I said questions. If you have questions, you can go to your peers, other Measurement Marketing Academy members are back here in the winner circle, and they help each other all the time, which is awesome. Sometimes also for something that's maybe out of our expertise, like if you ask a question about the Google Ads platform, or about the Facebook platform, we're not traffic agencies, so we don't know those platforms as well. We know the measurement aspects of it, but we don't necessarily know like how to set up the perfect ad. But other members do, because they do run agencies back here. So you can meet and greet, maybe help other members as well. And everybody can exchange their superpowers. That is the community, the power of the community in the winner circle. But the real fun part is the Ask an Instructor support. That looks like this. All you do is click a button and you type in your question, put what it is, send us over screenshots and videos. Just send us the links to those and, Loom links or Snagit links, whatever it is that you use to record videos, pop them in here. And it's essentially like you calling somebody like me over or an instructor and saying, hey, can you look at my screen? Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what my customer journey looks like. And I'm not quite sure what I should even measure for an ACE goal, let's say. Or I'm trying to get this tag to fire, but it's not firing and I'm not sure why. Here's what my preview is showing. And the instructors can help you, whether it's a strategy question or whether it's an implementation question. It doesn't matter how to think about stuff or the tactics behind it. The instructors can help you out as long as it's measurement related, which of course it is. So typically answers within 24 business hours is what we tend to keep up there. And it's available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. So that's when the instructors are kind of on standby for that. So with that, I would invite you to obviously take a look at the Academy itself. Again, to quickly review sort of the highlights of it. You got the courses, the Ask Instructor support, the on-demand workshop library, and of course, the community itself. The courses, you get every single one, all of the updates. If there's new courses coming out, you get them. If we update an old course, you get it. There are no limitations to that. So that's just always there. The Ask an Instructor support is unlimited as well. In fact, we kind of like that. People feel bad sometimes, like, I think I'm asking too many questions. We're like, no, you should do that. We love when people ask questions because you're using the stuff, you're practicing, you're building skills. That's what the whole point of the instructors are. Yes, they will give you answers to get unstuck and get moving, but more importantly, they're going to show you how they got the answer so they can teach you how to get the answer next time so you build your skills. The on-demand workshop library, of course, it's over 250 workshops back there, at least now, that are constantly back there. And again, completely searchable in addition to all the courses that are out there. And again, that's how we have solved that challenge of like, how do we keep everything up to date without having to rebuild a whole, 12-hour course or whatever the thing is, or a 5-hour course. It's we do these workshops, right? We can highlight certain things that sometimes aren't big enough to talk about a whole course for, but a little part of it needs to change. And so we'll update them there. And that's why the on-demand workshop library is there. And of course, the Winner Circle community as well. So all told, in terms of value that you have access to, it's over $8,500 in value. $8,500 in training and support that you've got access to every single month that you are an Academy member. Now, there are two options. We have monthly and annual options available. I would obviously recommend the annual. Most people end up upgrading to that anyway because there's a lot to this. Everybody starts thinking, oh, I'm just going to learn how to set up goals. Then they realize, oh, I can know this. Oh, wait, I can measure for that. Oh, I can understand the conversation this way. Oh, I can make this happen. Oh, my God. And they get better and better and better. And it just becomes an adventure where you and I can work together, and typically be you and I and our instructors working together over at the Measure Marketing Academy. So if that is of interest, just take a look. https://measure.tips/GetAcademy. So measure.tips/GetAcademy will take you to the Measure Marketing Academy page where you can learn more. And looking forward to seeing you in the Academy soon. With that, we'll bring it to a close. This has been What's New? Changes and updates as of July 2021. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.